Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we are here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC, presumably by a man, Lao Tzu, and is filled with all sorts of enigmatic wisdom and advice and just new ways of looking at our situations so we can get a new perspective on how to live a more reasonable life. Living a reasonable life is living a life in which we are who we are. We allow ourselves to not be swayed by populace, not be swayed by what other people want from us or what other people want us to be. And we do not try and sway other people into being who we want them to be. We allow them the space to be who they need to be because they're in the Tao, it talks a lot about not leading people, not trying to guide people, not trying to influence people. Because when we do that, we are undermining who they are. We are trying to say, look, I know what you need better than you do. Of course, as a child, if we have children, there are certain things we have to do to guide them to be the best version of themselves and make sure that they have boundaries and make sure that they know. But when we're dealing with adults, when we're dealing with other people that we deem as peers, we want them to accept us as we are. So we want to be able to extend the same courtesy to them. And that's really at the core of what the Tao is. Now, if they're a violent person, we're not going to go try and hug them. You know what I mean? I mean, a snake's a snake. You're not going to, it's going to bite you. So when we come into contact with things that are trying to, hurt us, we have to make sure we keep ourselves safe. We have to make sure that we do what we need to do without asking them to change. They can go be who they need to be, but I'm not going to put myself in harm's way. And we can talk about all sorts of things around that, but what we're really doing is trying to see where are we inspired to put our energy, where are we being inspired to be who we are without asking other people to change. Or say, look, when I get upset that you said something, I have to look at myself and say, well, why did I get upset? Not, why did you say that? There's two different ways of going about it. Of course, the first way most people go about it is, why did you say that? It hurt me. When I do that, I'm the victim of your words. But when I say, why did what they said hurt me? If it's true that sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me. If that's true, why is it your words are hurting me? Why is that? And then I can look at myself and say, for me, and I've said this before, I've talked about the word douchebag. For me, when someone called me that, it hurt me more than anything. You can call me anything. But if you were to call me that, I would be incensed. I'd be so upset. And so I had to ask myself, I don't need other people to change the word that they use to, describe me in this scenario, or just the word they use for everybody or whatever. But I had to look at, why is it that word hurts me so much? And it could be from anybody, because from somebody that liked me, like somebody, I remember a friend of mine found out about this and then used it against me. And I was just so, even though I was dealing with it, it was like, not only did you use the word, you used it knowing that it hurt me, right? So it's like that not only brought back the frustration for being called that, it also was like you did it on purpose, right? Now, I could look at that and I can be like, all right, so you did that to me. Or I can take a breath, calm down eventually, and then go, why did I have that experience? What did that experience show me? It showed me that, I can't trust people. It showed me that I'm having these experiences where maybe I don't feel like I can trust this person. I'm having an experience that, this isn't who I am. Or maybe there are traits in my mind of what a douchebag is that I actually do, that are actually me. And I have to come to terms with that. And that's probably why. And I eventually kind of came to terms with a lot of those things. And now it's not, I don't know. I have not been called that in a long time, but, but this is how we kind of slowly transition ourselves from the victim of what other people are doing and saying to understanding where we're standing and where we're, contributing to that. Pardon me. So this is Tao of the Day. And how this works is I invite you to come up and say hello, and we'll chat a little bit about what's going on in your life right now. We'll get a baseline, and then I'll ask you to pick a number between 1 and 81, because the Tao Te Ching consists of 81 chapters. These chapters are short. They're about maybe 250 words, I think, is the longest chapter, right around there. And we read through it, and we start to identify, like, where in your life does this point to? What is it? What is this pointing to in your life? And then how can we shift perspective, open ourselves up, not be under the influence of things outside of ourselves, but embrace who we are, embrace what we're doing, embrace life as it presents itself to us, because the people that are around us doing the things that we don't want them to do are giving us experiences that help teach us about ourselves. Because we are all one entity, right? We're all connected. And so the work that you do is inspired to be done by you for the people that are around you. Because you are part of the gift of my life, and I am part of the gift of your life. And so the things that I do in my life present to you gifts, present to you things that you can receive, if you can receive them. Oftentimes, especially when we're in the state of victimization, we can't receive anything. You are doing this to me, not for me. Why am I the victim of your actions? And all of that sort of stuff gets in the way. And I just clicked the random number generator for my number for today, and it's 59, serving others. Now, serving others could be, we'll go ahead and read it before I start to assume what it is. Because I'm looking at serving others, I'm like, although I am talking about serving others, I just talked about, like, me being part of the gift of your life, right? Because I am here, you're listening to me. So there's something that's gravitating you or inspiring you to listen to this. And so that's me serving others. Like, me just doing what I do serves others. Let me go ahead and read this. While serving others, be as reserved as you can be. Be like Tao. Nurture all things without influencing them. This is possible through moderation. Free yourself from the constraints of your own ideas. Respect all things as they are and remove their limits. Embrace this virtue, and your limits are removed as well. Find within yourself both solid ground and yielding sky. Be at one with Tao, and the landscape creates itself. Limitless, you achieve immortality. Yesterday, I had a conversation with somebody, not on this program. I lead a mindfulness-based stress reduction program. And the meeting And it's just a continuation of a course that I was in with a number of people. And one of the people that's part of that group had a friend of hers pass away doing some rock climbing. And she's an active woman, that she does like a lot of races and climbs and things like that and stuff. And she looked up to this woman. Although they weren't friends, she was in her periphery, right? She was in the community that she was in the rock climbing community that my friend was in. And she died during a climb. She laughed about it, like in that nervous way. She was just sort of like not present to the weight of the situation. And I think it's hard to open yourself up sometimes to the gravity of a certain situation, especially when it's so riddled with complexity. Here's a woman that wants to do climbing with her husband. Here's a woman that wants to, continue doing stuff. And she's Asian, and that's going to come into play when I tell you that the way that she described it was, no matter how good you are, you can still make a mistake. And that spelled out how she saw this. She saw it as a mistake. She said, this woman made a mistake. And I was like, maybe she didn't. Not that she was supposed to die and so that's not a mistake, but maybe it just happened that she fell. Maybe the rope broke. Who knows what happened that made her fall? But maybe it wasn't her mistake. And it was important that my friend recognized this, because mistakes for her, again, culturally growing up Asian, she had, and I know that she had this experience. So I even though I did kind of, let myself off the hook to a point, it was like, I could imagine that it's cultural, that you created the idea that she made a mistake, but maybe she didn't. Things can go wrong, and it might not have anything to do with your mistake. But in her mind, it was like, you can make a mistake. And she was already telling herself a story from her perspective about what happened. But it's like, her experience needs to be seen. Yes, we have to respect the experience of the person who lost their life, but we also have to respect the experience that I'm having. Respect the experience that, now I'm a little bit more cautious. Maybe I'm scared, but what am I scared of? Now, once, so we did a little sort of mindfulness work, and I asked the question, well, what are you scared of? What are you afraid of? And it started coming up. And she finally started to loosen. It was that laughing when she was like, yeah, she fell on a climb. And, it's that nervous laughter that you're holding back. Like you got that wall in your chest that you're holding on to. Now, the reason that I'm talking about this is because because of the line, respect all things as they are and remove their limits. I definitely respect the way that she dealt with it in terms of laughing. And I respected it, and I mentioned it. And that opened everything up. I respect the fact that you're doing this, but I want to also let you know that this isn't necessarily the way you might want to be dealing with it. So bringing her awareness to that so that she can recognize, actually, she doesn't like that she's laughing about it. But laughing and crying are the same thing. thing is being in touch with yourself as you're going through that. So that's like, you respect it. You respect the journey. Like, I want to respect the journey that each and every one of you has to take to get to where you're going. I don't want to dictate how that happens. I want to bring awareness to you so that you can do it consciously. So that you can go about your life knowing that you're doing this to the best of your ability. And if avoiding it, if pacifying from it is what you need to do, I respect that. I have no problem with that. But I want you to do that with open eyes. And not be a victim of the pacifier. Like, there's a point where pacifiers just irritate us. Now, I talk about the idea of like laying in bed. Yes, laying in bed is comfortable until you get bed sores. But what kept you in bed that long? Why is it that, like, I remember a number of years ago, I talked to someone and I had to remind her that, like, just because we talk about being in bed as being comfortable, eventually it's not so comfortable anymore. And it's like, you do want to get up and get out, but you don't know how to do that because maybe, like this person was under the influence of her parents, was under the influence of having to do things that she didn't want to do. And so the only thing that she could do is things that she didn't want to do. And that's the only reason that she got out of bed. And if you're getting out of bed because you have to do something, then that's a deep tax. It's a deep tax in your life that you're dealing with. Matt, how are you?
Martin John, oh my God, it's so good to hear from you.
It's good to hear from you. What's your status right now?
All right, my status is I've got more privileges.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Now, our privileges, like, you're not in prison, so privileges aren't because of good behavior. It's because of what?
It's basically because of the work I've put in. Just, plan says.
I'm not hearing. Oh, there you are. Nope.
Those sorts. And basically just doing that with, like you said, with open eyes, and like I don't resist anymore. I don't, try to fight back and say, well, why do I have to do this if this can be done differently and blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't try to, basically let things.
You keep. There are moments. Pardon me. There are moments where you're very clear, and then there are moments where you like drop off.
Oh, okay. It's probably because I'm walking around.
I don't know if you're like walking around.
Yeah. Let me turn on my cellular.
Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, how's that?
That's good. I've been good.
That's good.
Since you've been in this spot. You've been good.
Okay, good. So basically, it's basically just following my treatment plan, what we all discuss, and what we all put our 2 cents into how I should go about the month, and then we review it the next month. And then basically there was a huge process involved with this because I'm going outside of the hospital.
Nice.
Yeah, which is great. I'm super stoked. I'm going to a gym for the first time. So not like a regular gym. It's like it's a gym associated with the Department of Mental Health. Basically, so yeah, I got those privileges yesterday, and they told me, and I was very happy. And because that means that I'm doing what I want to do, but also need to do
Right.
in order to, thrive and succeed. And it's not because they're telling me I need to do this. It's purely because I want to do it.
Yeah.
And like you said, like for so long, I was comfortable with quote unquote laying in bed. I was comfortable with the fact that, I self-harmed and I had addiction issues, and I was comfortable and complacent with that. But now I'm like, that doesn't work for me anymore. That's not comfortable for me anymore. And things need to change. So I would say about a year ago, that's when things kind of took a turn for me. And ever since then, I've been just building up privileges, and finally I'm at like a stage where it's a solid, like, okay, you've got almost the max privileges you can get, and we're looking at a discharge pretty soon, I would say.
Wow. I'm so proud of you. That's so great.
Thank you. I would say about
congratulations.
About a month out.
That's a big like yeah, that's a big shift. It's a big shift. And I'm really proud that like you're taking this seriously.
I am. I really am. I'm taking my recovery very seriously. I mean, like, yesterday I signed up for like eating disorder online groups and like AA groups and stuff like that. So I'm taking my life seriously for once.
Well, no, and it's, but I want you to recognize that all of that contrarian stuff is still there, and all of the work that you do is all still like, it's all like, this is just you maturing. And exactly. I would venture to say, looking back even a month, you would see yourself a month ago as much more petty, as much more childish, as much more sort of like, this
is my life. I'm controlling it. Like,
right. And it's like, yes, this is your life, but you can't control anyone else.
Right. Exactly.
So your life has to be in collaboration with all of the lives in the universe.
Exactly. And that's something I studied paganism for a little while, and one concept I really took away from this, I think we've talked about this, is that interconnectedism, and that like everything is connected in the world, and you are not. We've talked about this. You're not alone. Like, you are never alone. You are connected to everything, and everything is connected to you, and so everything you do has an effect on something else, which has an effect on something else, and so on. So I take my actions very seriously now. I take my words very seriously now. I try to, I guess, have purpose behind, like, be purposeful behind my actions and my words, so that they're not just like willy-nilly, I'm just going to spew off and it doesn't mean anything because I'm me and you are you, like, type of thing.
Right.
So, but anyways,
we're going to pick a number.
We're going to pick a number. How about 12?
The senses. As you're getting out and about, your senses are going to get stimulated. Like, one of the big things about keeping people indoors or keeping people in an institution is to limit the senses, because we don't want to overstimulate. Absolutely. If you live your life if you live your life and tell everybody to move slowly because you're overstimulated, well then, what are you going to do? How are you going to survive?
Right.
Because
Right.
other
You're not
people
going.
are going to be moving quickly. Other people are going to, and when I talk about advertising and marketing, and when I talk about the news, and when I talk about all these things, it's all really to entice you.
Mm-hmm.
It's always there to entice you. And the senses, when they get excited, they get enticed.
Right. Right.
And that's really what this is about. And it's it's about not allowing, in some ways, your senses to entice you so much that you do what you used to do, which was tell everybody that you want more control, right? Because that's one of your senses, right? Like that idea that you're controlling your life. That's you want more stuff. You want more. Now you're getting more freedoms, but those freedoms mean that your senses are going to be excited more as well. You're going out, you're going to a gym. This is going to be like, yes, it's a mental health gym. You're going to be doing mental gymnastics, whatever,
I don't know what we're going to be doing.
but that's the thing. You're going to be doing new stuff and the senses are going to get excited. The idea here for this one is to constantly remember who you are. So at the end of the day, you don't get carried away with your senses. So many people, whether it's drugs or even exercise, we talked about this the other day. It's just like, your senses can get so excited that this could be your escape. So what it says here is colors blind the eyes of men, sounds deafen the ears of men. Flavors dull the tongues of men. Thoughts will lead a mind to turmoil. Desires and greed will lead a life to turmoil. Therefore, the master satisfies her inner vision, allowing external cravings to come and go. It's that the thing at the end here. One, allowing external cravings to come and go. An external craving is like, I want to go out, I want to go to the club, I want to go and do this thing, I want to go, and all of this stuff. But before that, we have, therefore, the master satisfies her inner vision. And that's the idea of who you are.
Who you are, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Regardless of the parade or the carnival that you surround yourself in. You're still who you are. If you have a certain stance on something, that doesn't mean that it can't waver, but you have a certain stance, or you have a certain you're max. Have certain ideas about who you are and who you want to be. It's not hard to see in hindsight, when you're being honest with yourself, when you have fallen off that course, when you have been influenced, right? Yes. When you've been influenced by the colors, sounds, and flavors of the world around you, they have all of those. I don't know how do I want to address this, but there are times when nobody's watching, when we do things that we are sometimes ashamed of.
Right.
Why we do those things, why we look at them, why we get excited about them, right? And that's what this is. This is sort of like when we follow the senses, we do things that we don't want to share with other people because we're embarrassed by who we were when we
Absolutely. I can definitely identify that with my addiction and my self-harm. I hid it for a long, long time because I knew that people wouldn't, people would maybe judge or have certain views on it, but I was driven by my senses. I was driven by the high. I was driven by the escape. I was driven by, just whatever it caused in my brain, in my body, whatnot. And now I feel like that I've been away from that stuff for so long. I've now, I know who I am. I feel like I have a better sense of who I am. And yeah, I just feel like I'm Max. Like, this is who I am. Like, I'm not an addict. Well, I'm a post addict.
Language is hard, but yeah, I understand.
Yeah, language is, but, and like, I used to self-harm and blah, 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 but like, that's not who I am. Who I am is just who I am. Right. And I don't associate any really labels to who I am except my name. But yeah, I definitely have had times where I've lost sight of myself because of my senses and what they carried me along to do.
It's a big deal. Now you're going to drop off. You can come back up if you want. But it's a big deal to understand addiction in the way, in some ways of just like, you did this because you were living under the influence of something else. And so it was, and we all are living, like in our teens and early 20s and stuff, living under the influence of so many things because we haven't yet been able to build a strong frame of reference of ourselves in the world. And so while we're living under the influence, we don't know who we are. And so we move to addiction. We move to like you used self-harm and maybe alcohol and other things so that you can escape and deal with living life not as Max, but as your parents' kid.
Yeah, or like a student. Or
Right. All of the labels that you had picked up, you were living as those things, not as Max. And there are different times that you lived as different things, and those are the colors, sounds, and flavors that you that dulled your senses so that you needed more escape.
Absolutely.
You needed
that
more.
Makes so much sense.
You needed to deal with the fact that who Max was buried under influence that you got thrown at you as a baby, and then as a toddler, and then as a young person, and as a kid or whatever, and then as a young adult. And the more freedom you had, you could only use that freedom to escape because you didn't like all of the things. And it's not your parents' fault.
No,
it's not society's fault.
Nobody's fault.
Right. Yeah. It's nobody's fault, but you went along with everything for so long because that was what you had to do. Did you have another route? You couldn't have gone out and gotten your own apartment at 7 years old. Like, you weren't in that state. So you had to deal with what you had to deal with. And your parents had no idea how you were internalizing this. And then eventually you, in order to feel something, because everything was so coming at you rather than coming from you, you escaped. You escaped that. And you were in control of something. Your diet, your body, the harm that you caused yourself. And there was no inner vision of who Max was, because Max got lost along the way, because and that started, by you losing your birth order, possibly.
I was just about to bring that up.
So how can you battle something that started
In the womb,
showing you the world from that perspective? You
yeah,
as a child, as someone who wasn't yet born, had positioned yourself in a way that, and you did you have a relationship with your twin that is uncanny. And there's reason for you to be in the position that you were in, and there's reason for you to have lost that position, and you are now starting to go through and starting to figure out who you are, regardless of your position, regardless of what the senses have told you. The senses have told you that you were secondborn. The senses have told you that you were prepared to be firstborn. The senses have told you all of these things, but really you are here now. And and all of that healing is going to come to you in time when you know who you are.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like being here for so long and being like you said, like my senses have been dulled because I've been in a locked facility for so long that I've been able to discover me.
The subtleness of who you are,
of me.
Yeah.
And which feels great. I mean, like I've been able to discover certain passions and certain likes and dislikes, and different people. I've had to cut people off. I've gained new friends, and also going back to how I kind of lost myself. Also, you're on mute, just so you know, Martin John. But I'm sure you know that though.
I had to go and do something. I had to step, and I didn't want to make noise while you were talking. So.
No problem. But yeah, I was such a people pleaser as a child, teen, young adult. I was such a people pleaser that I conformed to whatever anyone was, whatever anyone identified as, whoever I was around, whatever anyone was doing. I conformed myself to fit into their box. And now I've formed my own box, and not like a box, but I
understand.
I formed my own kind of circle, and I feel more free. I feel like I can spill out of the circle. I can fit in the circle. I can expand my circle. I can kind of mold it to how I want it to, how I feel I need it to be at any certain point of time. And that things aren't getting in my way anymore. And that people-pleasing thing, out the door. I could give two shits what people think of me.
And you may please people along the way, and that's just fine. But living your life in order to do that is different entirely.
Exactly, because I was living for others, I wasn't living for me. And now I'm living for me. I am absolutely living for me. Like I said, I've had to cut people off because they just didn't align with my morals, values, whatever. And I've gained people that do align with my internal values and whatnot. So it's been a journey, discovering myself, and but also not putting too much thought into it and overthinking. I think it said, one of the lines was, thoughts will, oh my God.
Thoughts will lead a mind to turmoil. Desires and greed will lead a life to turmoil.
Exactly. Thoughts will lead a life to turmoil.
A mind. A mind to turmoil, yeah.
The mind to turmoil. And like, I feel like if I think too much about who I am, I'm gonna be like, what the?
Just be who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
just be. Like, you don't have to figure everything out all at once. Like, I just have to be me, and that's perfectly fine, and I'm okay with that.
yeah.
So,
And I think a lot of people out there that you're going to run into, because you've been in this facility for some time, and that's a safe environment that everything is really sort of curated and controlled, right? And that's great for the specific purpose of you understand, because when you're out in the world, your senses are gonna be bombarded. Because even if you were in here for 6 months, the things that change, and the amount of change that can happen over 6 months in terms of exciting the senses, in terms of marketing, in terms of advertising, in terms of all of this stuff that's going on the internet and whatever, it's just like in social media and all, like the amount of information that's getting and the amount that we're learning from moment to moment is getting so is advancing so rapidly.
Right. That even 6 months
you're going to feel behind.
Right.
And all of these, and the bombardment that you're going to be getting is going to be more intense.
Yes, definitely.
A greater degree than you have ever experienced, because you have been in an institution that has limited the excitement of your senses to such a degree. But you also have a better foundation of knowing who you are now. So if you cannot let the senses excite you, you will be able to continue. Well, you're going to succeed either way, but you're going to be able to continue this journey of knowing who you are and not trying to be like, oh, this is what's normal. I have to. You won't live under the influence of society. You will be who you are. And there's no reason.
I won't have to adjust myself to fit into a box. I'll just.
But if you allow colors to blind your eyes, sounds to deafen your ears, flavors to dull your tongue, you will get right in line and start losing yourself again.
Yeah,
because your thought there and lead your mind to turmoil, and your desires to have more, the greed from all of that will lead your life to turmoil. And that's why it says the master satisfies her inner vision, allowing external cravings to come and go. You may want something, and that's fine. But you have to be able to recognize, are your senses trying to take you down a path? And are you just going to want more of that? It's kind of like eating that half gallon of ice cream. It's like, and then recognizing, of course, we talk about, not liking that you do something and you're going to do it until you don't. And that's okay. But no longer judging and no longer hiding ourselves and the things that we do because other people, we're afraid of other people judging us. We want to have people in our lives that we can be vulnerable. That we can,
exactly, trust, and that will support us, and no matter what stage we're in, and
we don't have to dictate how that support comes.
No, absolutely not. We can't control how other people support us.
Right.
Like my mother.
So it's complex, but it's beautiful to be able to be in that complexity and figure out who you are.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna love yourself, and that's what's happening. You're just loving yourself more, And you're seeing the world love you deeper and support you better all the time.
That is so very true. That is so very... Those two things are so very true. I'm learning to love myself, and the world is learning to love me because I am being true to myself. I'm not trying to be any certain type of thing. I'm not trying to be any certain way. I am just me. And you can accept me as I am or not.
And both of those are just fine.
Just fine, exactly.
That has no bearing. Go on.
Always a pleasure. I gotta go eat breakfast.
Go enjoy your breakfast, man.
I will. You have a good one, okay?
Will do.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Will do. See you later, Max. It's always good to... I'm so glad that you're on your journey out. Melissa, how are you, dear?
Hey, Martin, John. I am glad that it's Friday. So glad.
Yeah. How did it go? Did you have a meeting yesterday?
No, but I did get confirmation that it's going to happen on Thursday, or I got a calendar invite requesting that I meet with her on Thursday. And since the union rep said she was available on Thursday, looks like it's going to happen on Thursday. And I'm trying not to let that dominate my thinking, but your conversation with Max and that statement about thoughts leading a mind to turmoil. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yes, they do. Damn it.
They sure
turn off the thoughts, Melissa. But I'm not able to turn them off at the moment, unfortunately.
So you got a week.
Yeah, man.
To sit with us. So the best thing to do is forget about it.
How, Martin?
I know. But so the next best thing.
I love you.
Is to really embrace the fact that, and look at the fact that you don't like how you dealt with it. And like really, really, really just sort of recognize that, you don't like that you did that. You don't like how you dealt with it. And you don't have to stand up for how you dealt with it. You don't have to blame anybody. If this was serious stuff, they would be wanting to deal with it toot sweet. The fact that they're letting you just continue doing what you do for a week and a half, like without saying or doing anything about it, means that they're not super concerned.
So you don't think I need to stand up for myself in this meeting?
That's I don't know. Sorry, first of all, I don't know exactly what happened. What do you want to stand up for? What did you do? What is it that you want to stand up for?
I mean, the thoughts, because the thoughts, like I said, are racing, is that, they're saying that I was unprofessional, and yes, I could have dealt with it differently.
Okay, period. That's what they're saying. They're saying you were unprofessional, and you agree with that.
Well, kinda, yeah.
Okay, well then, so what is there to stand up for?
The fact that this teacher is a bitch, and she's always a bitch, and I don't like that she's a bitch. And like, if they're going to make me be professional, why doesn't she have to be fucking professional?
Okay, so that's not in line with Tao. But
there's that expectation again, right?
That's the expectation. If you're going to do this to me, you have to do it to her. If that is an argument that your union rep wants to bring up, that can be their responsibility. This is simply like there's nothing to stand up for here because you agree that you were not being professional.
But I also feel that, like, if
I don't
one
care what
person...
you feel. You agree with their argument.
I mean, to some degree, I can see where they're coming from.
You agree with their argument. Like This isn't a measuring stick. You agree with it.
But I don't want
when you
to.
go in and say, hey, you weren't professional, you go, I know, and I regret not being professional. That is the end of the meeting. Like, you're like, since then, I have been
Because all the other shit is just going to cause more problems. Is that what you're saying?
Well, what is the other shit? What is it? What is your responsibility here?
Part of the responsibility is that I have to work with this teacher and I have to try to help this teacher, but she won't allow me to.
That's not your problem. Your problem.
If I'm supposed to help her, it kind of is, and she won't let me help her. I don't know.
Okay, so you can say, I agree I wasn't professional, and I am doing my job to the best of my ability. However, I could do it better if she was more receptive to my things. But there's nothing here. You got to go into a meeting because they have to document and whatever they got to do. But you can't force her to learn from you.
Right.
You can tell your principal, I don't feel like I'm being effective at my job, and this may have something to do with her ability to receive from me.
Right.
But so you might want to find someone else to teach this teacher.
Right.
If you don't feel like you can do your job, you have to express that. But that has nothing to do with this meeting. That has to do with you doing your job. This meeting is just for her to be like, you weren't professional. I agree. And I've been working on that since the incident, because I don't like that I did that. I don't like that I was doing that. And so I'm going to correct my actions without requiring the same of the other teacher. And that's a Taoist approach. Now, you have the right within our society and within your job to push against this other teacher. You have the right and the freedom to let everybody know that where you are, whether or not that gets received, whether or not that gets respected, whether or not you're throwing dust in the air and seeing where it falls. That's neither here nor there about your situation. Your situation, and again, you have other opportunities in the world for work. You have other opportunities in the world for, good working relationships. You have other things. Like, the world is here for you. And this meeting, it can be whatever they want it to be, because you're not the one that's setting it up. And you agree with their assessment that you weren't professional. It's okay. It's okay. You weren't professional, and you are working on it already. You don't need this meeting for you to work on it. Most people will let their minds race and tell everybody how right they are, even though they know they're wrong.
Yeah, my mind keeps wanting to do that, Martin John.
Yeah, that is trying to defend yourself.
Right. That's what I want to do. Like, I don't want to be like the bitch in the situation.
Right. But you were.
I know, Martin.
So
fuck, I hate when you call me on my shit. Damn it, Martin John.
So it's not wrong that you did it. It's wrong if you dismiss it
and defend it.
And defend your actions when you don't even like what you did. And you're going to try and tell her that she needs to do something.
Oh, damn.
that you're not even willing to do. So you just do your work and step back. It isn't yours anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, if she won't let me help her, then
that's not your problem.
Maybe they need to find somebody else to try to help her.
Right. Like, and all you have to do is express, I've done these things, and as I experience this, she's unwilling to receive my help. And I will keep doing what I need to do, but I'm not going to force the situation.
Right.
So if you need to find somebody else because she's unwilling to learn from me, then so be it. But if she doesn't learn something, I don't want that to reflect on me, because I'm doing all I can to teach her.
Right.
To lead, But if like I'm not, you can't keep.
It's the old adage: you can lead the damn horse to water,
right.
but you can't make it drink.
If
the bitch
right.
don't want to fucking drink, that's on her.
Right.
That's
and when you hit the horse in the head so it can bow its head to drink, and it still doesn't drink, you feel bad about that. You're like, you know what? If you don't want to drink, don't drink.
Well, it's just like when my dog wouldn't eat its food this morning. I'm like, okay, well, if you don't eat your food, your sister's going to eat it, and then you're going to be hungry. I just left the damn food there and went on about my day.
That's like, make hay when the sun shines. And, you got to do what you got to do. Sometimes, and you were not professional. You did not do what you wanted to do. Now, yes, there are professional consequences, but your personal consequences are more important. The learning from this, just for you, has nothing to do with your principal, has nothing to do with the other teacher, has nothing to do with anything. You learning this and then looking at it from the perspective of other areas of your life. Why did I have this experience of being the bitch, right? Like, because you've experienced this before, where you kind of ditch dive just to, you were wrong too, but it's, okay, but you're going to come out on top. 2 wrongs
don't make a right.
Right. You're going to come out on top because you're doing your work.
Exactly.
Honestly, from the perspective that of the person that you want to be, not of what what your job describes you as being. Not this isn't about professional; it's about mature. Librarians were mature.
Those damn librarians again! I swear,
that's such a high standard. You got a number.
It is those damn high standards. I tell you, they bite me in the ass all the time. Man.
Every time. You have a number for me today?
No, I need a random one, my dude.
Okay, 64. It's so easy.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
It's easy to stop something before setting it into motion. It's easy to plan something before beginning it. It's easy to break something before it has grown strong. It's easy to hide something before it has grown big. Preventing problems has never been the problem. Tiny sprouts do this and grow to unimaginable heights. Every journey has started with the first easy step. Avoiding the easy is what has created all difficult problems. Rushing past the easy things will end up costing you. Grasping onto the destination, you lose sight of where you are. Forcing things to be what you want, when you want, will only turn those things against you. Therefore, the master monitors her desire for an outcome. She remains as calm at the beginning as at the end, so she can see what is in front of her. She embraces the mundane and doesn't prize rarities. Doing this, the master reminds those around her of who they have always been, and they are inspired. Caring about nothing but Tao, she cares for all things. So you don't get caught up in what you could do. What you have, like you have a right to be aggrieved by pert near anything you want. However, you have an invitation to just
let the shit go,
to let
right?
it go, right? And to just like this meeting, this frustration, this moment, it's only here for you to forcing things to be what you want when they want will only turn those things against you. So if you want the principal to say to the other teacher what you want when you want, well, it's just going to turn that against you. It's just going to keep escalating.
Well, that was a damn appropriate reading, wasn't it, Martin John?
I think so.
I think I need to read that maybe 100 times this weekend, and maybe that'll help me whenever I start wanting those thoughts start.
Yep, you dropped off. If you wanted to come up and share, I know you, because I think you work on Fridays. Once you want to start spinning, going.
So I was really connecting with what you said about the not wanting to get out of bed. But then I was like, he's right. Because if I laid in bed too long, then I would be achy from laying in bed. But to take a half day for the kiddos. And one of my colleagues were debating about whether we had to stay all day or not. But I think do. So I'll get done what I need to do. But yeah, it was very appropriate. But what I was saying is maybe if I read it 100 times this weekend, whenever my thoughts start to spin, maybe that'll help me stay grounded and focus on, because I really there were several things that jumped out from that when it was talking about preventing problems, avoiding the easy, forcing things. I was like, oh, damn. And because I want to be the one, Martin John, that cares for all things,
Well, you
that's
do.
the Melissa. That's
you
the
do
real
care
one.
for all things, and that's but when something like this happens and you go into old story, you get caught. You get caught because you think it's easier. You think it's easier if you're right. But
no, it's when my back's up against the wall, I got to fight. That's what I think, Martin John. You put my back up against the wall, and that means it's time to fight. That was what was, Okay.
Yeah, well,
Melissa's in fight mode now.
The thing is there's no wall.
Yeah, but I perceived that damn wall.
Right, you perceived that there was no way out. But the reason that there was no way out is because you didn't want to admit they were right.
No, I think it's more that I don't want to accept that this teacher will not, but it's going back to what we were just saying about you can't force,
you can't force her to do anything.
No, if she doesn't want to accept my help, no matter how many times I've offered it, there's nothing I can do. If she wants to have an attitude towards me, I can't change that. I can only change my attitude. And just because she has an attitude doesn't make it right for me to get one, because we already said 2 wrongs don't make a right. So I just need to add that to my mantras.
I got 75 minutes of mantras already.
I know. I'm going to have to start getting up at 4:00 in the damn morning now. Shit.
What stood out to me on this one, if you got to go, you go ahead. But
no, I still have a little bit of time before I have to start the day.
What stood out to me was really just as soon as it started, it was it's easy to stop something before it's set into motion. And it's those thoughts and the story and the defense. Once you set that into motion, it starts to gain momentum. And all that momentum, and when you are not cognizant of your mind, right? When you're not being mindful, the story is going to start to play about how right you are and how wrong she is and how wrong they are. And it's harder to stop that. Yeah. It's harder to stop your thoughts. Right. And so just that first line, it is easy to stop something before it is set into motion. But once it's set into motion, it's harder to stop. And so what is great, when we can kind of add some mindfulness to this, we can just once it starts again, we can stop it. And you can use a mantra. Like when I was in the dark retreat, my mind would start to wander. I would go into mantra. Some mantras are, like I say, I pray. I use like prayers that I know by heart, or mantras I know by heart, or songs or whatever that just take my mind off of, just break the cycle of that thing. And I just say it over and over and over. Because if my mind is saying a prayer over and over, it cannot be filled with other thoughts. It's just like I occupy my mind doing that.
Yep. There you go. That's wisdom, Martin John. Ha! Occupy my thoughts with my mantra. Look, I just love you. You tell me, that's why I put you up there, because the things you say make so much sense. Oh my goodness. You don't understand. On my desk, there are all these Post-its with things we've talked about. And I have notes written down. They're all over. This is just how my mind works.
Yeah. And it's good. It's good. Putting those things in front of you is a great way of reminding you of that. But if you have a go-to prayer that you like, whether it's Serenity Prayer or Hail Mary or whatever,
Right.
Just being able to go through it and make sure that there's nothing in it, because even so, Hail Mary, when I was in the dark retreat, I used that, but I changed it because there's things in it that I don't like. There are things in it that I don't, and so I needed to change words so that it could associate more broadly for me, rather than being about one person. It was about all humanity, rather than being about, rather than, blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. It was blessed is the fruit of every womb, no matter who.
Amen to that one, my friend.
Whether it's, whether that's the womb of my mind and the ideas that I birth,
right?
Or the womb of my hands that I build something, or the womb of, the actual womb of a woman that births something. It's not, blessed be everything and everyone, and so in order for me to be able, and Hail Mary then became not about Hail Mary, the mother of Jesus, but Hail every woman, Hail every feminine, energetic thing, even within me. That Mary became for me just the thing that births creation, so it became the connection of everything. And it didn't, if I got slipped up in terms of saying my mantra, it has to be mine, just like I have to be me. My mantra has to be mine. And if I'm going to just adopt someone else's, well, and if there are things that I don't want, I'm Roman Catholic, so we like the saints and all the individuals.
Yeah. I was brought up Catholic too. So we had this thing where we had to find the saint that was most connected to our name. There's no Saint Melissa, by the way, just in case you were wondering. There is no Saint Melissa.
After meeting you, I can I can understand why.
John, I love you. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my goodness, thank you. I needed to laugh this morning. Oh, that was right on time, dude.
But occupying your mind so that these things don't get set, and it's easy to break something before it has grown strong. And so breaking the habit, breaking the breaking the thought pattern before you have identified with it. Because that's the thing. Once the thought pattern comes in, we defend ourselves and we tell ourselves how right we are.
Yep,
and then
the whole story
and,
starts spinning. Oh my
That's
goodness.
Right.
Yes. Well, it's very fortuitous because last Friday I bought a book. It's a little thing and it has like all these mantras in it. So it's pocket size too. So I think I'll put that in my pocket. And whenever I start to spin, I'll just take it out and look for an appropriate mantra. Because if I can occupy my mind with the mantras, then I won't start spinning into all this other shit. And that's why I love you, my friend. I don't care what you say. You have a great deal of wisdom and I love what you say. I mean, I do care what you say. I didn't mean it like that.
No, I understand.
See, that's why there's no St. Melissa again. Back to that.
No St. Melissa.
Have a great day, Martin John.
You too,
I love you.
Good luck today. I hope you enjoy it.
Me too. I'm going to make it a fabulous Friday, and I'm going to try to occupy my mind with mantras and not let the thoughts spin. Thank you very much, my friend.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon. Thank you guys so much for joining me. This is Martin John, and this is Tao of the Day. I look forward to meeting with you at some point when you're ready to come up and talk about Tao. If you're interested in picking up my version of the Tao Te Ching, you can check out the links in my profile. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.